So when the gray speedometer symbol's up, you can just tap it. And it's gonna take us
So he's starting already now,
Yep.
even in a parking lot. Okay.
Yep. So it's driving. So we'll see if it does this whole trip without me doing anything. So you have to touch
I doubt.
the wheel.
This neck, right? It's when they supposed to get rid of it somehow.
The next version should have most of the nag gone. Basically what they're doing in the next version is if you're actually looking and the camera can see your eyes and see where you're looking, it won't nag you. If you look away or if it can't tell, like you have sunglasses or a hat or something on, it blocks it, then it'll make you touch the steering wheel.
But that's fair enough, actually. Yep. That's fair enough. That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So what I do right now is I just leave my hand like this, so when it turns, I put a little resistance, just so it feels.
But it's accelerating quite rapidly, right? I mean, I would probably not go as hard.
Yeah, that's pretty normal for. I mean, actually, that was a tiny bit quick, but yeah, pretty normal for around here. Smooth.
Yeah, for sure smoother than me in the Cybertruck for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was like this progressive steering. You really have to get used to it.
Yep, it takes a little time to get used to.
And I guess it will be a pain to get back to the normal steering. You know?
Yeah, you're gonna be like this and go. Oh!
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, why isn't anything happening?
Yeah, exactly. That happens to me when I get in this. Sometimes I'll just turn a little bit, go whoops, and then keep turning. But I also don't drive this one much, so.
Crazy.
Yeah, sometimes it'll do mostly like lane selection issues is the main issues it has right now. So like sometimes it'll get into it's a Cybertruck.
Nice. What about the stickers? He had also like these electric cars have this. Maybe on your car it's as
well.
The
stickers down at the bottom.
I'm not sure where. It's also confusing to me because it's all over the place and different colors. So what's the key?
They like that one had one, especially since probably gonna be people. Like,
wow, that's quite aggressive acceleration.
Yeah. This version is definitely more aggressive. The older versions weren't as aggressive.
Can you set it up if you want to have it like at ease or?
There is a setting. Chill, average, and assertive.
Yeah, so there is even a higher. There is an even higher level assertive.
People have played with them and they've not really noticed much of a difference.
Oh, right.
So you notice it slowed down in the corner. That's the other thing, that sometimes it'll be a little bit too timid at first, and it'll go really slow sometimes when it doesn't need to. So if you're doing the FSD, I'm actually going to stop it because I want to make sure it lets this truck in. So
I see.
Sometimes it'll let vehicles in, but every once in a while it doesn't really notice them, especially when you're right there where you're in a weird spot. So that was one minor disengagement just for comfort, but it wasn't a safety thing.
Yeah. Because he actually had the right to ride, right? You don't have to like let them.
Yeah, I don't have to let him in.
In theory, I mean, you would do it as a human, but
as a human, And I've noticed that there are times when the car will let people in. I think that's just something they're still working on the training with. Is that as they train it more and more, they'll get situations like that worked out better and better. Oh, and actually, I should have put a note. You can hit the button and it'll record a voice message. So I forgot to do that, but
like to let them know that there is something they could fix.
Yeah, so I would have told Tessa, I would be like,
even though I mean it's like this all neural nets, so I cannot like imagine how they are like fine tuning for such a specific things. If you have a code, you can just move something. But here, I mean, how do you retrain the whole thing for those small things?
Two things about it. One, I think what they do is they find clips that are similar, where it's a similar situation where the car does the correct thing, and so then they add that to the training set, and they add a bunch of those, which helps reinforce doing it that way. And I've actually heard too that because it's a computer system, right, you can track and see what parts of the neural net are activated and which aren't when you run it through certain things. Kind of like a
All right.
fMRI, right? You know, there's ways that with a human you can kind of see.
That's
but with a human, it's really low resolution, right? You can't detect individual neurons and see individual neurons. You can just see general areas of the brain. Well, with the computer, though, they can look at individual neurons, right? So they might actually be able to pick and say, okay, this section of the neurons are activated when people are getting over. So let's fine tune just this section of the AI. So I think they might actually be able to do that a lot more than you would think. Because I wondered that same thing. I was like, how do you fine tune for these events? But then I heard that and I'm like, oh, that's right. It's a computer over and over again, like especially going to work. So it'd be like I would know that there was this one right turn that it didn't do very well. So when I came up to the right turn, I would just turn it off.
So you can already foresee where the issues will occur.
So that's the other thing. You get used to the issues.
But now you can start all over again with version 12 plus. But it's
those issues are becoming less and less, right? And you can see if it wasn't for the truck wanting to get over, I wouldn't have had to do anything. This drive over to here.
Actually, I think I pretty much underestimated the value and that. You know, I was always like, yeah, it's great, but it's more like a gimmick. But now I really think if I drive like a long distance, especially in US, I think you appreciate it even more.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
I think it might be so much more comfortable to drive.
Well, it's nice because like I can go and look over here and be like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. That's awesome,
it's also like the safety thing, right?
Yeah,
that you don't.
It's absolutely safe thing. It's way safer.
So
I'm gonna have to take over because this guy behind us wasn't really leaving enough room to make the car comfortable.
And what would the car do? He would be like going
on
right
the freeway there
and somewhere turn around and find a new way.
So we would end up going down right to this exit and coming around and coming back.
I see.
Right.
Hey, but actually, I mean, if you don't really care, you know, we are like, okay, just get me there, and I want to do my own thing.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
it'd be just fine.
Or we put the assertive mode on, and then you would get there. Yeah. Nonetheless.
But like I say, I don't think there's really a big difference. I think that actually is old code.
Yeah.
Before, when they had the more of the code, it actually did do something assertive versus the